Hey there, it's Tricia with Easy Emini Trade, and I know you haven't heard from me in a way of a video in a while, so I thought I'd do one today to show you how you can stay in for the longer moves. You might find it helpful. Today is April 10th, and it was a great morning for most, but a lot of times if you didn't get in the initial setup, you're looking for a way to get in, which is where pullbacks come into play. And sometimes you don't even wind up with any pullbacks and the market just takes off. So I'll go over a few things today that maybe you might find helpful. If you want more information on the setups, you can go to www.easyemintrade.com. Okay, so we'll go over the NQ because that's what we spend most of our time on in the room. I like that in the Russell. So here's the open right here. You can see this dashed line here. And the blue lines that are drawn on here are just support and resistance areas. So those of you that have the ebook know everything that I like to have on my chart, so I don't need to go into that right now. But we've been doing an opening range trade for quite a while now, and it's been working out really well. And we're taking it off of a 5-minute chart, and it's a really simple setup, and I won't go much into the detail now about it. But the idea is that you want to get in and stay in as long as you possibly can. We use the price projection tool, fib price projection tool, to come up with the projected targets, and it has a high win ratio of getting to the first target. Today, I mean, it would have gotten to target number 5, target number 6. That's not usual, but it's great when you can ride this trade to the first target and then trail your stop. And how you can trail your stop is you can use any of the moving averages off your entry chart if you're comfortable with that. Here's where it triggered. The entry triggered right here. This is the range chart, the 4-tick range chart, 1-point range chart on the NQ. And then hopefully you sit there waiting for target number 1 to be hit. And it just so happens that target number 1 falls right in line with an area of support and resistance that we're watching here. So once target number 1 is hit, and this is on that 5-minute opening range trade, once target number 1 is hit, you can use these trail dots to trail your stop. Now, I don't recommend moving it to worse than your entry. So let's say, here is target number 1 hit 1825, and then you're going to move your stop to, ignore the purple. The purple is the fib 50% area, but these pinkish dots here are the trail dots. And I'll do a webinar next week on them. Not on just those, it'll include that. I'll go over the 5-minute opening range, I'll go over the rules that I've been using for that, and I'll tell you about this indicator, and most of you will have it available for free. So once the first target's hit, then if those dots are worse than your entry, then I would not use them yet. I would not use worse than a tick better than your entry when the first target's hit. Then as price starts to move, then you just continually trail your stop. I've been using a tick under the dots, and then you get stopped out up here. So the entry today would have been 28.14 for a buy, and the trail dots would have kept you in until 28.31.75. So that's a huge, huge run. We don't see it that often like that, but I still recommend not riding it all the way as far as you possibly can without taking something off somewhere. So like to just trade one contract, for example, I wouldn't recommend trading one contract and trying to trail it as high up as you possibly can, because what's going to happen is you're going to wind up with nothing. Let's say target number 1 is hit, and then you're moving your stop to break even. A lot of times it's going to come back to the break-even area after that target number 1 is hit. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would only recommend trailing it for as long as you possibly can if you're holding on to something after you are already profitable. And the thing about the 5-minute opening range is that it's going to be a larger stop than the initial 3-point typical stop that we use on the NQ for the Three Amigos or the counter channel or the kaboom setup. So you have to make sure it fits your plan, and also because you are using a larger stop, you're going to want to sit in the trade for as long as you can, at least to the first target, to make it worth your while. Otherwise, there's just no point in starting with such a huge stop. Just pass on the 5-minute opening range trade, and then just take one of the other setups. That's what I would recommend doing if you're going to use a huge stop for the 5-minute opening range and then just shoot for 2 points. And I'm not saying don't ever shoot for 2 points, but you don't want to get in the habit of that, in my opinion, because you will be leaving a lot on the table. And the setup does work a high percentage of the time. Like I said, I'll give you this, the specifics on it next week at the webinar. I'll do one next week on the 18th, and I'll send an invitation out to everybody. So using the trail dots, you would not ever be stopped out until under this area right here, and that would be 31.75. Now some people are using the trail dots waiting for an actual close under them. So I'm not too comfortable doing that. I'm just using a tick below in the case here, or a tick above if we have a short and looking for a runner. And if the 5-minute opening range trade didn't fit your plan, then we did get a Three Amigo firing off here at 9:49 this morning, and depending on how you manage that, you could have trail stopped that all the way up to that same area of 31.75 using those trail dots. And I don't have the trail dots on this screen here. It's on the screen that I just showed you. But again, you could have trailed it depending on how you managed it. I actually think that if you got in here, you got your 2 points here, your stop was moved to a tick better than your entry, and then you kept the third or whatever you keep, and then it traded back to a tick better than your entry here. So on this Three Amigo, I don't know that you would have been able to ride it all the way to that 31.75 area, but someone in the room said that they didn't get taken out here at the exit of 1850. So if that was the case, then they were still in when it started to move. So if that was the case, then they were able to trail. If not, then you wound up with 2 on that one. Then at that point, if you're not already in, you're waiting for a pullback. And we get this pullback here. And, of course, what's going through your mind is, how much can it possibly continue to move? And we know from experience that the market will move as much as it pleases, in spite of what we think. But so you get a pullback here, and there's nothing really to do there unless you wanted to take a kaboom setup. And with a kaboom setup, you have everything in line to take it right here where I've just marked this. But I would definitely be looking at this area here to the left, and just be aware that you might get stuck there, this previous high. So if you determined that you wanted to give it a shot, then it does work out for the 2 points. Then you get a pullback here, pulls back to the 30, and it wouldn't be a kaboom setup, it would just be a pullback to the 30. And then your entry would be right here where I have the yellow bar marked, which also coincides with a counter channel setup. There's a counter channel setup here at 10:33, and I passed on both of those counter channel setups because I just wasn't comfortable in taking a buy after that move higher that we had this morning. And then obviously if you were in for a majority of that move this morning, chances are you didn't have to do another thing. You didn't have to take another trade. So you don't want to give it back is the point that I'm trying to make. So if you opted to give this counter channel a shot here, everything's in line to take it. ADX gets above 20. We get our close outside the channel, and it does not work. It fails. Then you get it setting up again here as either a pullback or the counter channel setup. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to give it another shot in that exact same area that just failed? Chances are that you probably wouldn't, and then it goes on to work out. Then you do get another pullback here, and you enter in, if you choose to, above the bar that I have the arrow on, which is right here at 10:56 is the time, and the entry would be 43.75. I always use a tick above or tick below the bar using a buy stop or sell stop. And so you get in and it works out as well. Then at some point you have to ask yourself, how many pullbacks are you willing to take? And again, only you can decide that. We do have another pullback here at 11:06, and that was at 46.25 would have been the entry on that. And we had an Amigo right here at 10:57 that did not trigger. And by not trigger, what I mean is when I put my buy stop above that bar for the Amigo, the 3 Amigos, or any of my setups, if I don't get filled on the very next bar, then I cancel my order. So for me, that would be a no trigger. Then we get another no trigger here at 11:30 and another no trigger here at 12:17. We typically don't wind up with those no triggers on the 3 Amigo setup unless it's chopping sideways. But you know, sometimes that's the breaks. We get them. We get the no triggers, but for the most part, that's when you're going to find them. So I hope that helps. And like I said, I'll be doing a webinar on Thursday. I haven't figured out exactly. It'll be next Thursday, the 18th. I haven't exactly figured out what I'm going to do. I know for sure I'm going to go over the 5-minute opening range trade, and I'll go over the rules that I use for that, and I'll show you how you can use the trail stop. And you can use a trail stop on any of the setups that you're trading. Someone in the room, Dr. Dave C., turned me on to them, and I really like them a lot. So anyway, I'll go over that for sure, and I'll probably go over maybe the Keltner channel and the 3 Amigo. I don't know exactly what else, but definitely the 5-minute opening range and the trail dots, and a couple other things I'll go over too. I'll just figure it out. So I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you all later. And if you want more information on the setups, just go to www.easyminitrade.com.